The grand ballroom in Arlington, Virginia glittered with brass buttons and polished metals. Chandeliers cast warm light over hundreds of guests. Mark Dalton held his daughter's hand, trying to breathe. He hadn't worn a tie in 3 years, not since his wife's funeral. Tonight was about a promise to Rebecca. Lily tugged his sleeve, eyes wide. "Daddy, this is where Mommy worked?" Mark's throat tightened. "Not exactly, sweetheart. This is where people like Mommy get remembered. She would have wanted you to see it." He stepped forward. A security guard blocked his path. The guard was tall, broad-shouldered, shaved head. Name tag read Patterson. "Sir, this is a private event. Invitation only." Mark pulled up his phone. "I have an invitation. Mark Dalton plus 1 guest." Patterson barely glanced. "I need physical documentation. A printed invitation or official correspondence." "I wasn't sent anything physical, just the email." "Then I can't verify your identity, sir. This gala hosts the highest-ranking military officials in the country." Lily pressed closer to Mark's leg. A woman in pearls paused to stare. "Look," Mark said, keeping his voice level. "I'm on the list. Could you check with your supervisor? The coordinator is occupied with actual guests. I'm going to have to ask you to step aside." A second guard appeared. Behind him, whispers. "Who is that?" "Some civilian. Trying to crash a military gala. Look how he's dressed. Probably hoping for a free dinner." "Please," Mark said quietly. "I just want to show my daughter where her mother served. We'll stay in the back. Won't bother anyone." Patterson's expression didn't change. "Sir, step outside while we verify your information." "Daddy, are we in trouble?" Lily's voice trembled. "No, sweetheart. Just a misunderstanding. It'll be okay." Patterson gestured toward the exit. The younger guard reached for Mark's arm. Lily flinched. That's when he noticed her. A young woman in dark blue dress uniform. Auburn hair in a regulation bun, military academy cadet insignia. She'd been watching, expression strange, confusion and recognition. The guards began pulling Mark toward the door. Lily cried harder. "Don't take my daddy. Please don't take my daddy." The sound echoed through the ballroom. Heads turned. Conversation stopped. Every eye fixed on the scene. Mark dropped to one knee, gathered Lily in his arms. "Listen to me," he whispered against her hair. "I need you to be brave, okay? Like Mommy was brave. Whatever happens, I'm not going anywhere. I promise." "But they're hurting you." "No, sweetheart. They're just confused. It's going to be okay." Before they could move toward the exit, a voice rang out. "Stop." It wasn't loud but carried authority. The guards froze. Every head turned toward the young woman in dress uniform, now walking directly toward them. She moved with purpose, posture military perfect. She stopped 3 feet away. Mark could see the tremor in her hands, rapid pulse at her throat. She was nervous. Whatever she was about to do scared her. "Release him," she said. Immediately. Patterson recovered. "Miss, this is a security matter. Please return to the event." "I said release him." Her voice sharpened. "This man is not a gatecrasher. He's not a threat. If you put your hands on him again, you'll answer to my father." The guards exchanged uncertain glances. "And who exactly is your father?" The young woman's chin lifted. "General James Harrington, commander of the 3rd Infantry Division. And the man the soldiers saved in Kandahar 11 years ago." A ripple of shock passed through the crowd. Patterson's grip loosened. Mark felt blood drain from his face. No one was supposed to know about Kandahar. The mission had been classified at the highest level. "You're mistaken," Mark said, voice barely a whisper. "I don't know what you're talking about." But she shook her head. "I'm not mistaken, and neither are you, Ghost Watcher." The name hit Mark like a fist. He hadn't heard it spoken in over a decade. A call sign from another life. "How do you know that name?" "Because my father told me." She stepped closer, tears gathering. "He told me everything about the ambush, about the men who died, about the soldier who carried him 6 miles through enemy territory with 2 bullets in his own shoulder, who refused extraction until every survivor was accounted for, who saved 15 lives and asked for nothing in return." She touched his arm, hand shaking. "He told me that soldier's name was Mark Dalton, and he told me if I ever saw him again, I should thank him for giving me my father." The ballroom had gone completely silent. Patterson and the guards stood frozen, aggression replaced by shame. "Emily," Mark said finally, the name surfacing from long-buried memory. "You're Emily. He used to carry a picture of you in his vest pocket." Emily nodded, tears streaming. "I was 7 when it happened. The same age as your daughter. She glanced at Lily. He told me that a brave man named Ghostwatcher was the reason I still had a daddy. I've never forgotten. She turned to the guards, voice hardening. This man is a decorated war hero. His file was classified because the mission was classified, but that doesn't make his service any less real. He belongs at this gala more than half the people in this room. Her gaze swept the crowd. And anyone who says otherwise can take it up with General Harrington directly. Patterson swallowed. Miss Harrington, we had no way of knowing. No, you had every way of knowing. You chose not to look. Emily's eyes were like winter ice. His name was on the guest list. His invitation was valid. But you saw a man who didn't fit your expectations and decided he must be a fraud. That's not security. That's prejudice wearing a uniform. I appreciate what you're doing, Mark said quietly, placing a hand on Emily's shoulder. But I didn't come here for recognition. I came for my daughter. That's all. Emily's expression softened. I know. My father told me that too. He said you refused every medal, every commendation, every opportunity. You just wanted to go home to your wife. She paused. He also told me about Rebecca, about her service, about what happened. I'm so sorry, Mark, for everything. Lily tugged at Mark's hand, tear-stained face full of questions. Daddy, what's she talking about? What's a ghost watcher? Mark knelt to meet his daughter's eyes. The same green eyes Rebecca had passed on to her. It's a name from a long time ago, sweetheart. From before you were born. Were you a soldier like Mommy? The question was so simple, so innocent. Yes, he said finally. For a little while. But that was a different life. He stood and turned to Emily. Thank you for stepping in, for remembering. You saved my father, Emily replied. You gave me my whole life. There's nothing to thank. She gestured toward the main ballroom. Please stay. The gala hasn't even started yet. My father would want you to stay. He's been trying to find you for years. Mark hesitated. But then he looked down at Lily, whose eyes were still wide with wonder. He remembered why he'd come, for Rebecca. For the promise. Okay, he said quietly. We'll stay. Patterson stepped forward, demeanor transformed. Mr. Dalton, I owe you an apology. A sincere one. I should have listened. You did your job, Mark said. Or what you thought was your job. Let's leave it at that. Emily took his arm and began leading him toward the main hall. As they walked, guests began to approach. Some offered handshakes. Others simply nodded with respect. A few veterans clasped his shoulder and murmured, Welcome back, brother. They stopped near a small alcove. Emily excused herself, leaving Mark and Lily alone. Daddy? Lily's brow was furrowed. That lady said you saved her daddy. Like a superhero? Mark knelt down. Not like a superhero. I was just a soldier. We were in a dangerous place and bad things happened and I did what I could to help. That's all. But she said you got hurt. She said there were bullets. I did get hurt. A long time ago. But I got better. Lily was quiet. Then she asked the question Mark had been dreading. Is that why you're so sad sometimes? The words were devastating in their honesty. Because Lily was right. Mark was sad sometimes. More than sometimes. I'm not sad, he said, the lie tasting bitter. Yes, you are. Lily reached up and touched his face. When you think I'm asleep, when you look at Mommy's pictures, I can tell. Mark closed his eyes and felt something fracture. He tried so hard to protect her from this. Come here, he said and pulled her into a hug. You're the only thing that makes the sadness bearable. Because I remind you of Mommy? Because you are Mommy. The best parts of her. The parts that matter most. They held each other for a long moment. Then Emily approached. Mark, there's someone here who wants to speak with you. Someone I think you need to see. A commotion at the far end drew everyone's attention. The crowd parted for a figure moving with a cane. His dress uniform bore more decorations than Mark could count, silver hair cropped military short. But it was his eyes Mark recognized, sharp, fierce, burning with intensity. General James Harrington. Mark Dalton, the general said, voice carrying across the silent ballroom. You stubborn, impossible, infuriating son of a gun. I've been looking for you for 11 years. Mark straightened involuntarily. General Harrington. Sir, I didn't expect me to be alive? Didn't expect me to remember? Harrington's lips quirked. He stopped close enough for Mark to see the scars mapping his face. Son, I remember every second of that night. Every step you took, every time you told me to hold on, that we were almost there, that my daughter was waiting. He clasped Mark's shoulder. I remember you refusing morphine because you needed to stay sharp. I remember you tying your own tourniquet with your teeth because both arms were occupied. And I remember waking up in a field hospital and asking where you were, only to be told Sergeant Dalton had disappeared. I had to go, Mark said quietly. Rebecca was pregnant. She was having complications. I needed to be there. I know. Harrington's voice softened. I found out later about the emergency leave, about Lily's early birth, about everything you sacrificed. He paused. About Rebecca's passing. I'm sorry, Mark. More sorry than you can know. Then Harrington turned to face the crowd. I want everyone here to listen carefully, because what I'm about to say matters more than any speech I've given in 40 years of service. He gestured toward Mark. This man is the reason I'm standing here today. This man is the reason my daughter has a father. This man carried me 6 miles through enemy territory, took 2 bullets protecting my unconscious body, and saved the lives of 14 other soldiers before collapsing from blood loss. A murmur rippled through the crowd. He was offered the Medal of Honor. He refused. He was offered promotion to officer rank. He refused. He was offered a position on my personal staff. He refused everything. Harrington's voice cracked. Because all he wanted was to go home to his wife and be there when his daughter was born. He reached into his pocket and withdrew something small and metallic. Rebecca knew. She knew everything. Even though you never told her, she reached out to me a few months before she passed, asked me to keep this safe, asked me to give it to Lily when she was old enough to understand. He pressed the object into Mark's trembling hand. It was a military dog tag. On one side, Rebecca's name and service number. On the other, a message, for my Lily. Your daddy is the bravest man I've ever known. Never let anyone tell you otherwise. Love, Mommy. Mark stared at the tag, vision blurring. Rebecca had known. All along she'd known everything he tried to hide. I don't understand, he whispered. How did she found me? Harrington said gently. Tracked me down. Said she'd noticed your nightmares, your scars, the way you flinched at certain sounds. She wanted to know what had happened to her husband. And when I told her, do you know what she said? She said, that sounds exactly like the man I married. The man who would burn himself to ash to keep someone else warm. And then she asked me to make this tag, to hold it until the right moment, to make sure Lily knew who her father really was. The general placed his hand on Mark's shoulder. She didn't want you to carry this burden alone, son. She wanted Lily to share it with you, to be proud of it, to understand that your silence wasn't shame. It was sacrifice. Mark looked down at his daughter, who was staring up at him with pure awe. Daddy, she whispered, you're a hero? And for the first time in 11 years, Mark Dalton didn't try to deny it. He knelt down and placed the dog tag around Lily's neck. This is from Mommy. She wanted you to have it. She wanted you to know how much she loved both of us. Lily touched the tag with trembling fingers. I miss her. I miss her too, sweetheart. Every single day. He stood and faced General Harrington, extending his hand. Thank you, sir, for keeping this safe. For everything. Harrington ignored the hand and pulled Mark into a crushing hug. Welcome home, Ghost Watcher. It's about damn time. Around them, the ballroom erupted into applause. Officers stepped forward to shake Mark's hand. Even Patterson stood at the edge with his head bowed. Later, as the crowd thinned, Emily found him near the exit. Lily had fallen asleep, clutching her mother's dog tag. Thank you, Emily said simply. For everything you did then and now. Mark shook his head. I should be thanking you. I've wanted to meet you my whole life. To tell you what you mean to my family. She took his hand. Every birthday I've had since I was 7 years old, I've thought about you. Every graduation, every achievement, every moment of joy, because you made them all possible. Her eyes glistened. I don't know how to repay something like that. But I wanted you to know that your sacrifice wasn't wasted. That the lives you saved went on to do good things, that my father has spent every day since Kandahar trying to be worthy of the chance you gave him. Mark was silent. Then he pulled Emily into a brief but fierce hug. He was always worthy. From the moment I met him. That's why I couldn't let him die. Will you stay in touch? My father would love to see you again properly. Mark glanced at Lily, still sleeping peacefully. I think I'd like that. He crossed the room and gently lifted Lily into his arms. She settled against his chest. The dog tag pressed between them. He walked toward the exit, past guards who now stood at attention. Past guests who nodded with respect. At the door he paused and looked back. General Harrington caught his eye and raised his hand in a simple salute. Not the formal military gesture, but something more personal. A farewell between brothers. Mark returned the salute, then stepped out into the cool Virginia night. The stars were bright overhead. He didn't know what tomorrow would bring. He didn't know if he'd ever fully escape the shadows or the weight of his grief. But he knew one thing with absolute certainty. He was done hiding. Rebecca had known the truth and loved him anyway. Lily now knew the truth and loved him even more. And somewhere in that ballroom, a general and his daughter were grateful for a sacrifice that Mark had never expected to be remembered. He wasn't just a single father anymore. He was Mark Dalton, Ghost Watcher hero. And for the first time in 11 years he was proud of who that man had become.